Over the next 4 weeks, we'll be carrying canoes over 200 kilometers through the Himalayan Mountains.
We're almost at the top.
My name is Kyle, and I'll be joining my brother Tom, co-founder of The Weight We Carry, on a 30-day expedition to Everest.
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
Very chilly.
Our goal is to raise money to build a women's mental health transit center in Kathmandu, Nepal.
Killed it this time.
I'm having some trouble with the wind. Makes it a bit more difficult.
That's 3.
We might finally get out of here.
We'll be picking up the canoes in New Delhi, India, driving them across the border into Nepal before we begin portaging for 20 days straight. The final destination of this trek will take us to Mount Everest Base Camp.
This is it. It's the last little climb, and then we finished the entire trip. 23 days.
Yeah.
When I did this 2 years ago, it was actually, to be honest, the scariest part of the trip. I think we've taken some precautions this time so that hopefully it's not as scary, but like just coming around turns and thinking you're gonna fly off the edge of the road and looking down. I remember looking down over the edge and seeing there's a bus down there and another car, like cars have flipped over the edge. And so that was terrifying. Like last time I was just worried that that would happen to us, you know? And after, when we got to Solari and but when we hiked to Everest Base Camp, Kyle and I said to each other, we will never do that again. Now, we're doing that again. As soon as I landed, I met up with my brothers and we went to pick up the canoes. So this was Christmas Eve day. Working on the shipping of the canoes took months to organize, and that was a very stressful process. You know, knowing the canoes were coming into India, and once we had cleared all that, literally they cleared customs about 2 days before we got there. Literally 2 days beforehand, we knew we could actually finally pick them up. The canoes were perfect. There wasn't a hole, so it was just like an unbelievable relief that, oh my God, we've got the canoes. This actually worked, you know, because we didn't have any certainty that that would actually work.
We actually initially were going to do the expedition a year ago, but we decided we weren't ready. So we gave ourselves another year, came over here, met with the charity, got everything organized. So yeah, our dream for The Weight We Carry is to impact mental health around the world by carrying canoes to the most unlikely places on Earth. For starters, we've teamed up with KOSHISH Nepal, a local organization in Nepal doing life-changing work at the community level. At their Women's Mental Health Transit Center, KOSHISH are helping people who have been through some of the toughest life circumstances imaginable. So in this project, all of the donations we raise will go directly to supporting KOSHISH in their efforts of building their new center. I've had a lot of time to think about it leading up to the actual trip, which is now. I was expecting no matter what we plan for, there's gonna be challenges, there's gonna be curveballs that are gonna be thrown at us, and we'll just need to be good at problem solving and figuring them out. Up until now, it's gone very smoothly, which has been good.
You from Canada?
The first morning we woke up and in the hotel, and we were super excited to get outside and take some photos because we'd got in late at night. And just walking through the streets, sort of, you know, it's not an area that you'd run into tourists. It's really just India in its natural form, and it was just that sort of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm back in India again.
So we really wanted to get a shot in front of the Taj Mahal with the canoes. It's pretty strict at the Taj Mahal, security-wise, for getting photos. Like even going in, we realized when we got there, there's no way we're bringing them in through that security. We packed the canoes back up, drove a little bit down the road, and found just an open sports field where a bunch of kids were playing cricket, and but we could walk right in and we could see the Taj Mahal. as we got further and further, we had more and more kids. There was kind of a following of people coming around, like hitting the boats, asking what we're doing, and we got closer, and then we kind of found a spot that we should take the photo. Then somebody else came and said that no, you can't take the photo, and tried to get in the way, and we thought, like, well, we were here, this is the photo we wanted. So we then picked up the canoes and started to walk away. Seton did get a picture or two of us in front of the Taj Mahal, but it wasn't, we weren't able to do an organized kind of photo shoot or anything like we had wished, but that's okay.
On the second day of the trip, we were staying in Nagra, and we could hear some chanting out in the streets. And it was some of the prayer songs of people of the area, and we could just sort of just hear them through the window. And it was just magical. It was still dark out, and it was pretty silent, other than you could sort of hear this loudspeaker of chanting, like prayer song. And that moment there, just being on the roof and hearing that, it just almost gives you goosebumps, and that just really felt like, wow, we're in a different part of the world, and we're in India right now. This is real. This is really cool. So that was an awesome moment for sure.
Two of the bigger tasks that I had taken on was figuring out how to ship the canoes from Portland, Oregon, to get them to Kathmandu if I could. And I was worried that we were gonna get charged a lot in duty or taxes, because I wasn't sure how that would all go, or if they'd say, no, you can't take them in. But again, it worked out. Like, it was incredible. Part of the fun was walking across the border with the canoes. You know, we grew up portaging, so it was about a kilometer walk up on the India side, walking, and it's a bit chaotic. There's bikes going by and trucks going by and people honking, and you can just see the border crossing in front of you, and that's an experience I'll always remember.
We knew we had to literally carry our canoes across the border with our bags and everything. And we got up to this little, tiny little hut that said Indian immigration on it. And we set the canoes down on the ground, and everybody's looking at the canoes, and the immigration officers are looking at the canoes, and we go in and we're just thinking, oh, here we go, you know, kind of expecting the unexpected again, what might come of this. And we were pretty surprised that it went fairly straightforward. We got our passports stamped and everything. It went really well. And then we continued to walk across the border. I've been looking at photos of these canoes for the last 6 months, but finally having it on my shoulders with my pack and walking across this busy street, essentially in no man's land in between India and Nepal, and then crossing the border into Nepal with Tom behind me with a canoe and Seton, my brother, filming the whole thing, was a pretty special moment, and it went much smoother than we ever could have expected.
How do you say in Nepalese? How do you say, yo, what's up, man?
Ketsa. Yeah, that's
Ketsa,
it.
Ketsa.
Yeah, we knew that. Yeah, Ketsa. Yeah, Ketsa.
There's a reason why I wanted to focus in Nepal for their first project for the weight we carry, and I love it here. I love the people. The people are so humble and welcoming and appreciative and glowing smiles, and it's a place I can tell you for myself, I've been in my best mental health state here in this country before.
I really love Nepal. It's definitely got a place in my heart after having been here twice before. The first time when I hiked to Mount Everest Base Camp with my brother Tom, and when we came up with the idea for the weight we carry. Then the last time, almost exactly a year later, when we came over here and we spent about 10 days in Kathmandu, Nepal, just working on the project, getting everything set up.
Now we got about
Now we're having a pit stop.
a pit stop. We're 5 minutes into the drive, pit stop, and then about a 7-hour drive to Kathmandu. So we'll get in around 3 a.m. tonight.
Everything's been going really smoothly, almost as if it's meant to be. We've got a really good crew together. Everybody's really optimistic and positive.
This whole thing is honestly a dream come true. Since I was a kid, I've wanted to help people. And I didn't really know what that meant exactly, but I know when I was young, I remember being 8 years old and knowing I wanted to volunteer in Africa. That was something I wanted to do. And combined with that passion is my passion for adventure. I again, and I don't know why I was such a knowledgeable 8-year-old, but at 8 years old, I really had a passion for Mount Everest. And so that's what first brought me to this area, brought me to Nepal. And so the fact that this is all happening, where I'm actually starting a not-for-profit organization, which I've been wanting to do for the last 5 years, I feel like I finally have figured out what I'm supposed to do. Tomorrow's an exciting day. Tomorrow we're waking up at 5 a.m. to get ready to jump on a Jeep. So we've hired a Jeep to take us from here in Kathmandu to Salary. So Salary is where we'll start the trek with the canoes to go to Everest Base Camp. It's basically as close as we can get on this side of Everest by road. At that point, there's no vehicles and we'll start, basically the entire part after that happens by foot.
Got permission for now. We know that probably our biggest risk on the trip is injury. And I injured my knee on the last trip and I hiked for 13 days with my knee limping. So I've got a bit of anxiety around that for sure. But I'm a lot more fit than last time, and I'm hopefully way more ready than last time, even with a canoe on my back.
Yeah, I hope so. This is the moment, baby. It all begins.
I just know that the moment when Tom and I have the canoes on our backs and we start portaging down that first section of trail, it's just going to be overwhelmingly emotional for me. Like I've been looking forward to that moment for so long, and for that to actually happen is just one of those things that you've been working towards for so long, but you almost don't believe it like will really happen. So I think for us to actually take those first few steps is going to be a really profound moment.
I think I feel good about it. I feel like, okay, yeah, we can do this.
Yeah, I was worried it might be harder, but it wasn't too bad. But at this point, without canoes, it wasn't too bad either. It's probably about the same. It was really good to just get that first day out of the way, because I think for the longest time we've just been kind of wondering how it would feel and how bad it would be, and we did cover more ground than we had scheduled, so we did pretty well. I mean, it was definitely very physical. I think there's a few spots on our shoulders and bodies that we're a bit worried could get bad over time. I mean, I'm sure they will get bad over time, but we'll keep going.
Yeah, we'll maintain it as best as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we made it farther. Like, our goal was to get to Chiang, and we're probably double that distance. So that's good. We're a bit ahead of schedule. So all in all, I would say it's very positive. Now we just need to fuel back up. You know, we burnt a lot of calories, eat, sleep for a long time, and
stretch.
Do it again tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Day one down.
Yeah. Wow.
My name is Dane Wilkes. I've been portaging a handful of times, mostly with Tom. Hiking, camping, backpacking, I've done a lot of that. It's definitely my favorite thing to do. I'm so happy to be here. I feel really lucky to be part of this team and to be welcomed to the brotherhood. I think my role is mostly support. I think at some point they will be happy that another person came on the trip. Filling that support role, however that means, really. Portaging isn't easy. Like, you have to be mindful of where you're stepping. You can't really see, most of your vision is blocked out by a canoe. There's a big, long weight on both ends you're trying to balance, and From what I understand, this trek has some pretty gnarly terrain, so adding a canoe to that will be very difficult. I love the mission behind the weight we carry, particularly the symbol of it. I've dealt with my own mental health issues throughout the past, a lot of anxiety and depression, and so this is a cause I can really get behind, and I'm really happy to be putting my efforts towards mental health.
Coming into Ringmu on our second day. Done a bit of climbing today. Not too much though, we're taking it easy for the first little while. Pretty awesome, nothing beats it. Day 2! We're still alive.
It's quite a test, considering I'm also doing the hardest physical work I've done in my life. So it's certainly mentally taxing to always be thinking about when I need to get a shot and making sure also that I'm not overshooting and slowing everything down. And when I do stop for a shoot, that I'm not letting people get too far ahead. I already had one moment where I let that happen and then almost went the wrong direction. Luckily it was at the end of the day, so they caught me.
This is the start of day 3. Climb up to Kathmandu, about 300 meters elevation gain. It's our first big climb. See how we go.
Almost. Wow. I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, I think.
We're all carrying a lot of weight, a lot of equipment. We're walking on some treacherous, rocky terrain. So as a group, we decided to take small steps with intention, 0 injuries. And that's the hardest part for me.
We got to some pretty big icy patches, and I just took one step on one of these icy patches and just went, just slipped right out the canoe on top of me, landed on my hip, but surprisingly was completely fine. I just landed on the ice on my hip and it wasn't too bad, so everybody helped me up and we kept going. So the day was filled with a couple close calls for me.
Fun for me, probably not fun for Kyle.
Yeah.
It's slick right there, really slick.
It's going to be our biggest day yet. 700 more meters down, 500 meters up. We'll probably cover about 7 miles. All pretty sore yesterday, so hopefully this day goes well. But I think we got it. We got to take lots of breaks quickly, keep on track. We're, as always, a little bit late getting off. But yeah, no, I think we got it. It's been hard. Bodies are sore at night, so whew, it's gotta be focused.
I'd say the start of the day was great. So we had about 700 meters of descent to do first. We broke it up into pieces, like we really kind of paced it well. We broke it up into pieces no more than 45 minutes. So I kind of broke everything into 40-minute pieces, and that seemed to work well for everybody. Like it just pace-wise, it kept us going. We ended up finishing, it was 565 meters in altitude after the 700 meters of down. So it was a grueling day, but the team did it. We're awesome as a group. You know, everybody's positive, helps each other. Yeah, I think we can do anything.
A really long day and it's raining. We're all exhausted, but we're almost at the top. But this just seems to be never ending. Climb up to Boopsa.
From Slayer to Lukla is some of the hardest part of the trip because it's just through the foothills. So you're up 500 meters, down 500 meters, up 700, down 1,000. It's just so much up and down. There's nothing straight, nothing flat. And then, so the next one was Seton and Dane both got sick. We got into Kerry Cola, which was our hardest day at that point. It was just we had a 580 meter climb up into Kerry Cola, and we had just so much weight. We're carrying 90 pounds of weight, and we were just exhausted. So we ordered like 4 huge plates of pasta, and Seton and Dane have a keto diet at home, so it impacted them a bit. They've been starting to eat carbs, but this was a lot for them, so they both didn't sleep well, and then they woke up not feeling well. And then we ended up trekking to Boopsa, which was shorter than what we wanted to, but they were both they couldn't go any further. They were really sick. So we stopped in Boopsa, gave them the afternoon to just sleep, and got them some medication, and they just slept it off, and then started the next day.
Biggest ascent for us so far is tomorrow, but we just keep going on. Everybody's support at home is what's driving us up the mountain. It's just every time in these hard ascents, it's like, it's painful to make one step, but you just think of everybody you've talked to and everybody supporting us, and it just gets you to the top. So we're gonna do it. We just still got a long ways to go, but you got to be the change.
Dane and Seton were up most of the night, pretty sick. They're feeling pretty awful today. Weren't able to eat breakfast and just barely made it up the hill. I don't know how they did it with the up the mountain. I don't know how they did it with the amount of food that they had. We may need to break early today, take a strategic break. I'll keep you posted.
Growing up, we've done a lot of smaller portages up to about 7 kilometers, which is still a decent sized portage, but nothing where we've had to carry canoes day in, day out, up and down mountains. So I would say in the beginning, there was just a lot of figuring out what the best way to carry it. There was a lot of trial and error and sort of a lot of little injuries I found. Like 2 days in, I started getting this pain in a vertebrae, like halfway up my back, and it felt like I was gonna pop a vertebrae or something. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride in some ways of emotion, in terms that one day you're feeling great, your knees feel good, the canoe's sitting just right, and you think, I could do this, for months, I'll be fine. And then the next day you feel totally different, like you get a pain in your knee and suddenly you start panicking. So there's been some up and downs for sure in that regard, but all in all, it's been incredible to have the canoes on our backs and see this actually coming to fruition as we go.
Very chilly.
Biggest climb of the trip, really, today, all at once. So we're ready for that. First 500 meters down and then about 700 meters up.
Very bitterly cold start this morning, coming out of Paya, but at least we got those mountains in the distance we're heading towards. That'll keep us warm inside. Whew. My fingers are frozen. It might be good even just to... That was hard. It was pretty much heart rate straight up, stay up, and just try as hard as you can to put one foot in front of the other. We are now starting the climb up to Lukla. This will be our biggest solid climb of the trip. 700 meters of vertical elevation. Wish us luck.
Once we saw the runway of the airstrip in Lukla and started seeing the reception from all the locals there was incredible. As we were walking through town, I knew that Maggie and Fiona were around there. I knew that they were in town, but I figured it would be difficult for them to meet up with us. It's a sort of a medium-sized village, so there's a lot of different little alleyways and that sort of thing. But we kind of came around a corner, and then all of a sudden Maggie and Fiona were there. And it turned out that they had been following our live GPS tracker, and they could see that we had just come into town, and they managed to intercept us.
Spice to it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was really good.
So good.
Buffalo burgers. Doubles. Just 6 of them.
Don't mess around, just go with the doubles.
Namaste. Heading out of Lukla now to Monjo today. What a perfect day.
We've been noticing for sure getting into the higher altitudes with the extra weight of the canoe plus our packs. Some more shortness of breath, especially from when Tom and I did this trip 2 years ago without the boats. We didn't notice a huge amount of those symptoms, the symptoms of the altitude. This time, I think because we're carrying so much weight, we're really noticing on the uphills now that we're getting over 4,000 meters, we're really noticing that we're huffing and puffing a fair bit more, and that your heart rate, even just from a fairly small hill, which we would have been climbing numerous of those a day before, now even just going up a small hill, you notice when you get to the top that you're breathing pretty heavily and your heart's racing and you're tired. But we're still, we feel strong, and we're feeling pretty good about it. So that's good.
Up hopefully our final ascent to Monjo. You can see I'm having some trouble with the wind. Makes it a bit more difficult. The canoe just kind of goes however it wants. Wish us luck. Getting ready for a big climb today in Namche. And then we get an acclimatization day, which means a day without the canoes on our backs. I'm very excited for that.
Dick it around with your canoe.
Well, it got really bad in Namche. It was to the point where like every step was really, really painful. And it was from all the weight that we were carrying and all those ups and downs, in particular the downs, just driving my nail back into my toe. In Namche, we met some doctors actually, which was lucky, and they gave us some medication, but they didn't have anything that was actually for the infection. They had some bandages that were good bandages, so I used those. When I took that bandage off in Tengboche after 2 days, it looked really bad, and that's when we got a bit worried about it, because it was pussing and it was still painful. So luckily there were some travelers that had some antibiotic like cream that I could put on it, and so that's what I've been doing the last couple days.
Snowing a little bit on our way up into Namche Bazaar. Bit of a shaky cable bridge, but pretty beautiful. Resam piriri, resam piriri, udirajam ke dadem abanjeng resam piriri. Kodo charyo make charo danza cheko chaina. Kodo charyo make charyo danza reko chaina. Pochi pochi nara kutai man pareko chaina. Resam piriri, resam piriri. Udarazam ki dadem abanjeng resam piriri. Wow! Thank you.
It's the day that we don't have to carry the canoe, and that is such a relief. That's been one thing for me, is you wake up every day and there's this thing you have to do that's hard and difficult, and there's no way around it. Like being under the canoe and carrying the canoe all day, every day is just mentally draining. So those days, the acclimatization days, I've really looked forward to.
We've planned 2 of those on the way to Everest Base Camp, which are in fairly common spots to do them. One is in Namche Bazaar, and then Dingboche, where we'll do our second acclimatization day, and that just gives our body a taste of the higher altitude. We've also been moving fairly slowly, so we've been almost cutting days in half from what the typical speed would be. So that also helps in our favor when it comes to approaching the altitude. We're moving nice and slow on our way up, then we're stopping, doing our acclimatization hike, coming back down and continuing on. So that's been our strategy so far, and so far everybody in the team has been doing really well.
Acclimatization day here in Namche, up to about 4,000 meters. There's the team. Dane's back there. We're all good. From Namche now, we've got a bit of probably about 200 meter ascent out of town, and then the path flattens out, taking us to Funkatanga, probably about 3 hours. We'll have lunch there, rest up, stretch, and get ready for kind of our last big ascent. There's still a lot of ascents after that, but the last all in one, it's about 600 meters up to Tengboche, the monastery. So big day ahead, but we're starting at a good time, so see where we can get.
It's a pretty incredible feeling when I look back at everything that's happened leading up until now, from when we picked up the canoes in Delhi, drove across India, drove across parts of Nepal, and then started hiking. It's hard to believe that we've been walking for so long, putting canoes on our back each day in hopes that we're making a difference. I really think it will. I think there's a lot more to come with the way we carry, and I think we're just, metaphorically speaking, this is just the tip of the iceberg at the moment. I feel like the wheels are in motion and some big things are gonna happen, so I'm really excited about that.
Last bridge before the climb into Tengboche. A little bit windy. We are the people whose faces are covered in sweat and dust and tears. You know, we're the people doing the hard work, and we dare greatly, we work hard, and if we fail, at least we do so while giving it our all.
Just hiking out of Tengboche. That's the Tengboche Monastery on the left there. Got some spectacular mountains in view. That's Allam looking over us at the moment. Got a rescue helicopter coming through town. We are in the Himalayas.
Had a good day yesterday. Made it to Tengboche, big day, and yeah, I mean, my toes really bad. But yeah, we're managing the injuries, managing the risk as best we can. It's getting pretty windy on this path, and as you can see, there's not much of an edge to it. So we gotta be pretty careful. Some spots get a bit sketchy, but we're getting better at dealing with the wind, so we'll be okay. What a perfect day. Beautiful. On our way to Dingboche now, where we'll sleep at about 4,440 meters. So we'll have an acclimatization day there tomorrow, where we'll hike up to about 5,000 meters and then come back down and sleep back in Dingboche.
We're well over 4,000 meters now, and it is getting windy. This valley here will lead right into the Khumbu Glacier of Mount Everest.
We're at a high altitude now, beautiful day. We are really lucky, it's reasonably warm. But it's getting really windy. Yeah, really windy, so the canoe's just jumping around a bit, which is a bit scary, but yeah.
We got Allam right up above us there. Beautiful peak. Oh, couldn't ask for a better day. How are you feeling, Rigger Dane?
Feeling the altitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling it today. But I'm still feeling strong. Yeah.
The air is really thin.
Yeah.
How about the cameraman?
How's it going, Seton? You feeling the altitude? No.
He's a yak.
No, he can't feel it at all.
No. Update on the toe, still sore. I met some travelers with some antibiotic cream that we put on it and taking ibuprofen to keep the swelling down. Yeah, there's a medical post apparently in Ferice, but it's closed because it's the off season, so we're gonna, when we get to Dingbo Che, we're gonna unwrap it, check it out again and reassess. Hopefully it's getting better. If not, then I'll have to think about what the next decision is. But remaining hopeful that it's improving.
Our acclimatization day. And you'll notice we don't have canoes on our backs because we're climbing up Mount Nangar San. We've just broke 5,000 meters and we're getting close to the top. We got the crew, Dane, Tom, and Seton. Check out that view.
What a day.
The top's just up there.
I really like to meditate here in particular. Last 2 years ago when I was here, there's a stupa up on the hill behind me that I went up and meditated at, and it's just something I remember it very clearly to this day. It was just such a vivid experience, and that in particular is what I love. Like, I've been there twice already since we've been here this trip to meditate, and it's just, I'm sitting up there on this hill surrounded by these magnificent peaks by myself. You know, if you're gonna look at it on a map, it would just be in the middle of the Himalayan Mountains. It's so spectacular, and it just makes me feel so at one with nature. And meditation for me is really important. You know, something for me, I've always struggled with self-love, you know, like loving and appreciating yourself. And I've classically in my life just really, you know, used negative conditioning, really put myself down when I do anything that remotely resembles a failure. And if I have a success, I don't take the time to really appreciate it or appreciate what I've done or appreciate what I can contribute. And I find meditation alone just allows me to clear my mind and focus on, you know, appreciating yourself and appreciating who you are, and just, you know, seeing yourself through a lens of happiness and joy, and kind of warming your own heart about yourself in a way, which is you know, I think the most important feeling to have in your life. If you're not happy with yourself, it makes it really hard to enjoy anything. Steps away from our Nangar Song Peak acclimatization hike. Do the honors, brother. Over 5,000. We're about 5,100 meters. Get a little more. Woo! Woo! Let that out. Woo! We're all here. Get in there. That's 2. That's 3. Ooh, great job, guys. Great job. Proud of that. Woo! Look at that view. I love Dingboche. It's freezing here. Like at night, it gets very cold. Last night it was around -20. The thing I love about Dingboche is when you're here, you're now surrounded by the Himalayan Mountains and just completely surrounded by them. And it just feels like that raw experience that I love. There's no one around, there's no people, and it just feels like a calm, spiritual place to me.
It's hard to get air on the way up there with a pack and a canoe on your back. It's just a battle of trying to take in enough air. And the steps you're taking, but it felt good. We made it in one shot, and last year I limped the whole way up there, so that was awesome.
One of our last biggest ascents now before Everest Base Camp, which could be tomorrow or the next day, we'll see. This is the part of the trip where Kyle's knee 2 years ago was really messed up and he couldn't make it, but not this year. You're witnessing now the final steps of the Thukla Pass, and it feels good. It's about a 200 to 250 meter ascent, but up into about 4,900 meters of altitude. So it's really an altitude game and a challenge against your lungs at this point. But we made it. Let's get through it. Woo! Yep! Good job.
Good work.
Killed it this time. You showed it who's boss.
Yeah.
Good morning to our followers. We are en route from Lebuche to Gorakshep. And Gorakshep's the last town before we reach Everest Base Camp tomorrow. Pretty excited. There's a bit of an acclimatization. That'll be 5,545 meters, so that's our highest altitude for the trip.
The air, there's just such a lack of it. It's kind of like I'm buzzing from lack of oxygen. My face is tingling, my fingers are tingling, my senses are tingling.
I've been very conservative not to say, oh, we're gonna make it, because you never know. There's still a lot of ground to cover and altitude to cover. It's been mentally challenging on me just with these injuries. You know, like first I got sick and I'm still coughing today, and then I got fevered and sick again in Namche, and then my right knee, my meniscus has been acting up, and then an infected toe. It's just like, it goes on and on.
Everest Base Camp will be just a ways up there.
Not just getting yourself from point A to point B. There's all these curveballs that come along the way, and that can be really tough. But we've got a good crew. We all look after each other, and that kind of spirit allows you to keep going. Hanging out on the top of Kalapatar.
Top of the world, you might say.
Top of the world, Dane says. Not quite. Top of the world. We can see it though. There it is. Beautiful. Just hiding the top though, just hiding the peak.
Coming up on Gorakshep. Last stop before Everest Base Camp. Last day of going up.
For me, it's exactly like the 2 years, right? 2 years in the making. It's, I don't know, I can't comprehend that part right now. That was just like, as we were getting closer, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe we're almost here.
Yeah.
And then doing it with my Jetto and Ganza, and my Mila, rowing partner, you know, I used to get up and row at 5 a.m. We know the pain we go through. It's, couldn't be better.
2 years, you know, at pretty much every night after work, putting in effort to make this happen. And in the beginning, it just seeming like so unattainable, and then after 18 days of solid trekking, like, we've all lost about 15 pounds. We've been sick numerous times. We've put our bodies through some of the harshest conditions imaginable to then get here now. And all of it is for so much for all the Nepalese people who've been affected by the earthquakes, and the Nepalese people that have suffered trauma, that have lost loved ones, that have suffered mental illness, as well as our friends that we've lost to depression, and our friends that have struggled with mental health and mental illness. That's what we've done it for. It makes me feel really proud that we've made it here.
We are only about 10 minutes away now from Everest Base Camp. It's freezing out here, but we are so close. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I think when you're fortunate and in a position like we are, to give back is what you should do. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm so proud that that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I think everybody who can be in that situation can do that. It'd be amazing. Yeah, I mean, the only other thing for me is just like the amount of times, it's like countless how many times I was thinking of Addie, because like how hard of a year she's had, and help that just get me up here. All the people sponsoring us, and yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.